Alright, back right on the beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Hop Butcher for the World, and they are out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Cali Cool. So this is a Citra, Centennial, and Waimea-hopped IPA that comes in 7% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed, time of review, and this can is just over 5 weeks old. So very recently, like in the past week or so, my favorite local bottle shop of choice, Brewed and Bottled in Lewiston, New York, got a drop of Hop Butcher stuff, 4 different beers. So I actually hit up Jeremiah over at Hop Butcher and was like, hey, these 4 beers showed up. I'm going to review a couple of them. Which ones would you suggest that I pick up? And he recommended this and their Triple Presto Changeo. I've had the regular version of that. I think it was just a double IPA version, so I'm looking forward to that. But I'm really looking forward to this one because despite the fact that it doesn't necessarily mention it on the label, this is a West Coast IPA. And Citra and Centennial definitely fit the bill. Waimea, a little bit of a twist. Maybe this is where that new school West Coast IPA comes in, or a California IPA, dare I say. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So let's crack it open, get it into the glass, see what we got going on here. It's been about 4 or 5 months since I've reviewed something from Hop Butcher. Their drops here in Buffalo are very infrequent, unfortunately. When I do see stuff from them, I like to grab it, but haven't seen them probably in the last like 3 months or so. So when I saw this, I was like, I gotta give it a go. So we're gonna pour it into the hashtag proper glassware and go from there. Try to get a decent head if we can here. Something like that. Oh, we're off that first sip. Yep. It's not even a sip. I just licked it off the side of the can. Anyway, that is exactly what I expect out of a West Coast IPA. So there's condensation on here because it is, I grabbed it out of my fridge maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. So it's not like, you know, super cold, but warmed up a little bit, but it still has some chill on it. It's not that warm out, but very humid. So you get the condensation, but you're probably not going to see it on camera. Most likely you can see probably the shadow of my hand. I don't know if you can make out any of my fingers, but I definitely can see a little bit. Hold up to the light. It definitely has a great clarity. So the clarity's there, good carbonation, a finger of a, I'd say bright white, nice creamy looking head, a little bit of soap sudsy look to it. But I'll be honest with you, in this hashtag proper glassware, this beer looks fucking dynamite. Let me try to get a head going here. But this beer looks fantastic in this glass. This is the first glass that they ever sent my way, Hop Butcher, and it's probably my favorite, although I like the big like 18 fluid ounce glass that's huge, like a fishbowl, but a glass of beer. But this is great. Like I love this beer, or I mean this glass. I love their beer too. Anyway, nose. Wow. Oh. Holy shit. Man. Now I did look at the tasting notes on the back. I tried to not do that anymore. I used to do that back in the day, but not anymore. I haven't done that in many years because I don't want to be influenced. But if they don't say something about citrus, whether it's specific like an orange or a lemon or a lime, or if they just say like citrus of some kind, then I'm done reviewing because this smells like all of the citrus. It's very big on like, it's not candied. It's like real citrus. So it has like that like zippiness you get from like the pith, the rind, but also a juiciness you get from the actual fruits themselves. I would say like orange, tangerine, definitely like a lemon or lemon lime, probably more to the lemon side of things. But so big on the citrus, it's fucking intense. Wow. Then after that, I get a little bit of stone fruit. I'd say more of peach, apricot, maybe a mango, but more in that realm. Again, this is not super like, it's fruity, but it's not crazy sweet. Like a lot of times I'll say candied fruits, or I'll be like, oh, that's peach gummy rings, or that tastes like a high chew, or a Starburst, or a Skittles, or whatever. Not like that. It smells like authentic fruit, but there's quite a bit of it. But the beauty about this one is that there's a huge floral aspect to this one with a little bit of like a resinous pine quality in the nose as well. And there's this underlying almost biscuity, bready kind of malt character as well. Wow, that when I just swirled that up, definitely. A little bit of like a bready, biscuity kind of note. This smells fucking great. This smells like super refreshing. 7% West Coast IPA, whether it's a new school West Coast or old school, whatever. I think I'm going to enjoy this one. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Let me go back in. The nose is fucking spectacular. Like the nose is crazy. The taste, it's a little bit of a disappointment because it's dialed down from the nose. Like the nose was screaming all these crazy, again, citrus and stone fruits resinous pine, a little bit floral with a little bit of resinous pine. The taste is all that, but like stripped down a bit. So body mouthfeel. Body's medium, nice for 7%. I'm into it. The mouthfeel is, you know, your old school IPAs, whether it's West Coast or East Coast or just American IPA. It's got a moderate carbonation. It's pretty smooth on the palate, but it has an effervescent kind of feel to it. It's a crispy kind of nature on the palate from the carbonation. Nice. Very clean beer, too. Clean tasting. Like, if you told me this was like a West Coast Pilsner or something, I could see it. The taste. All that citrus is at the forefront, but it's more lemon and orange than anything else. And again, it's pithy, it's rindy, it's a little bit juicy. It's definitely those two. You could say orange or tangerine, but definitely lemon. The limes, it's not like lemon lime like Motueka. That was more in the nose. Not really getting grapefruit, although maybe I could see like a pithy kind of bittering grapefruit, but for the most part, it's like lemon and orange. As it passes through, a little bit of that peach, apricot, mango, stone fruit hits. Not too big, definitely noticeable. And there is this underlying bready, biscuity character that's a little bit bigger than it was in the nose. It almost has, I'd say, more biscuity than anything, which is kind of wild because I don't really get, it's usually just straight on bready. I don't specify biscuit as far as the malt character is going, but I definitely get it here. The finish is what kind of, I don't want to say saves this beer, but what really makes the beer for me, because it does have that resinous pine character, floral sensation. And this is bone fucking dry. This is bone dry with a mild to moderate bitterness. Two things I would like to see out of this. A little bit more bitterness and a little bit more pop of that fruit at the forefront that was kind of in the nose. This would be a fantastic, absolutely top-notch West Coast IPA if that's the case. As is, it's still really nice and pretty damn good. It's just the nose, I think, set me up for disappointment. That sometimes happens with hop-forward beers from any brewery. You taste them, or you smell them, and a lot of them, especially if like double dry hop, triple dry hopped, all kinds of different, you know, hops they're using now, like cryo, this and that. I always feel like the aroma tries to set you up for disappointment at this point. That's been my experience. Very rarely does the taste carry over, and this is one of those examples where it didn't carry over to a T. 7%, you really can't feel. Like I said, if someone told me this was a 6% or 5.5% IPA, I'd be that, yeah, for sure. Like the body, maybe it would be a little bit higher than I would anticipate for like a 5.5 or 6% IPA. But the flavors kind of make sense. If you told me this was a West Coast Pilsner, I would probably be like, yeah, I totally get it. It has a cleanness to it, a crispness to it. Very refreshing. It's a good beer. It's just not a great beer. And I always got to be honest with my review, so, you know, it is what it is. I would say this. If you like West Coast IPAs and you're in and around the Chicago area, you can get your hands on some Hop Butcher stuff, yeah, give this one a go. I think it's a good beer. The nose was just, man, the nose was immaculate. The taste is just, it's like you took everything from the nose and just stripped it down by like 30 to 35%. Like that's a pretty, a lot of times I'll say, I'll be like, oh, you stripped it down by 10, 15, 20. No, it's a pretty big stripping down. You still get the soul of what you got in the aroma. It's just not as intense as I was hoping. Yeah, so I would say if that nose carried over, this is like easily a 4.25 into a high 4.25, like a 4.25, 4.3, 4.35, like really a great West Coast IPA. I'm going to have to chop it down a bit though. So I'm going to give Cali Cool from Hop Butcher. Yeah, from Hop Butcher. I'm going to give this a straight 4 out of 5. I think that's where this one kind of lands with myself. And, you know, that's still a good score. It's just that nose was just, man, the nose. The goddamn nose. It's great. Beer's still good though. Check it out if you'd like to stop. Tasting notes, which we'll read momentarily. Juicy lemon. I'm not shutting down my channel. Yeah, there was, to me, they could have said like juicy citrus, candied citrus, pithy citrus, or any specific citrus fruit, and I would have been like, all right, you're fine. Juicy lemon for sure. I would say more pithy lemon, but juicy lemon's fine. Light pine, yeah, for sure. It has, again, more floral, more of a floral aspect on the finish than it does a resinous pine, but light pine's great. And then ripe mango, I did say peach, apricot, and mango. It was a third of the stone fruits. So if you just said like ripe stone fruits, I would be more in tune, but they pretty much went 3 for 3 of what this beer is. yeah, so price point availability, here's where it gets a little bit dicey in terms of where you reside. I'm pretty sure around the brewery that you probably get this for like $15, $16 a 4-pack. I paid $5 for that can at the aforementioned brewed and bottled, which is probably the cheapest I've paid for a Hop Butcher beer in New York State. Typically, when their beers show up, a single can is $5.50, $6, sometimes even like $7. Most of their like double IPAs, like 7.5%, like hazy double IPAs show up. They're like $21.99. So you're talking, $5.50 a can. Usually you have to pay a little bit more of an upcharge at certain places. So typically I would pay around $6 for a can of their stuff. But if you're in and around Chicago, much better deal. If you're somewhere where they get distro, probably looking at, $5 a can. And in terms of availability, Hop Butcher, I have no idea anymore. I never really knew with Hop Butcher outside of they get in and around the Chicagoland area. But I know you can get their stuff occasionally like Tavor online. I know Halftime Beverage here in New York State. I just placed an order with them recently. You should see the unboxing a couple days before this. I've seen their stuff on there before back in the past. I've seen their stuff on other websites. And a lot of random places get distro of their beer, just like shows up. And here in Buffalo, we just started getting their stuff, maybe like a year and a half ago. And just all of a sudden, there was a couple beers showed up, then a couple more. And then all of a sudden, every like 6 weeks, we were getting like 3 or 4 of their beers. And then it kind of dried up and now it came back again. I don't know. So you can find their stuff if you need to. If you wanted to ever trade for it, it's not hard to trade for Hop Butcher stuff. It's not like it's super rare and you got to go to the brewery and it's brewery only. You can get their stuff in and around Chicago. So if you ever want to try out their stuff, definitely hit up somebody that is in Chicago and can get their stuff, because I think Hop Butcher is one of the best hop forward breweries in the country. One of my favorites. Still kicking out great beers. And yeah, so 4 out of 5. If you've had this one before, post in the comment section and let me know what you thought about it. I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Like I said, 7%. Kind of drinks like, in that like 6 to 7% realm. If you told me this was 6%, West Coast Pilsner or 6% West Coast IPA, I would believe you. I will say the one cool thing about this is how crisp and clean it is. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of a lager. That's how crisp and clean it is, but it also has the like old school West Coast IPA vibes. If I had to say what this is stylistically, kind of one of those new school West Coast IPAs, more of the California IPAs that some of the breweries out west use. So yeah, anyway, I'm shutting this one down. Be on the lookout for that Triple Presto Changeo. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.